Okay, starting us off right here for NsHoSeo is, it says NsHoSeo is actually being captained by NSH.Brave. He is the red Protoss down in the bottom left corner. And way up here in the top left, we have, it says NFS d.JonnyREcco. I'm not sure what that clan even was. Infused, maybe? Formerly Infused, now playing for Dignitas. He is the pink Zerg up in the top left.
Yeah, d.JonnyREcco, very new to the scene, but he's actually, proven to be very, very good European player, an up-and-comer. Kind of reminds you of Bling's story from WCG. Just kind of came out of nowhere and been performing really, really well. So we'll see what he can do. Odie speaks very, very highly of him. It's kind of like when Odie was speaking really highly of Bling, and everyone thought he was crazy because Bling hadn't done anything yet, and then Bling just started beating everybody. It's very, very similar to d.JonnyREcco, so we'll see if he follows the same career trajectory and hopefully actually keeps improving. Yep,
all we need is lots of training, and a lot of players that are out there currently would actually be able to benefit a lot from just having training partners and things like that. A lot of the sort of ladder warriors out there, they just play ladder. They play tons of games every day, but they don't have those regimens that allow them to become competitive because they're just kind of lone gunning it. But either way, we do have Brave searching the incorrect direction first. d.JonnyREcco is going to be sending Overlord scouts out, but otherwise looks like he's just waiting to build that pool at 15, and that is obviously what we see most of the time in Zerg vs. Protoss, because usually the Protoss player will scout out their opponent quicker than this. d.JonnyREcco probably could have gotten away with hatch first, but why risk it? This is a pretty safe build that I'm sure he's done hundreds of times already. Anyway.
Yeah, on this map it's pretty common to see hatch first just because it's such long distance and the scouting usually takes a while. Also, you can see Nexus first on this map, but neither one happened, both going for the safer option. But it's not really going to hurt them because they both actually did go for the safer option, and nothing too greedy or too aggressive either way.
Well, it looks like a Nexus is going to be coming immediately after that Forge for Brave, and d.JonnyREcco, of course, trying to get this hatch down. He is going to have some Zerglings able to help him in a second, but he doesn't even actually need to build them as Brave backs off with enough time for him to plant that down. So d.JonnyREcco not actually doing what we've seen a lot of Korean Zerg players do recently, which is go ahead and send that drone to the third right away, just so they guarantee that they'll get a hatch down at some point.
Yeah, so, especially Hyun known for doing that recently. But Nexus and hatchery going down almost exactly the same time. Cannon gateway on the way. Gas will shortly follow, and then we'll get to see exactly what Brave is going to do. Oh wow, he actually doesn't full wall that. He leaves some space. That's probably not going to make much of a difference, but later on in the game, we could have a little bit of impact.
It's possible. I mean, obviously, you can hold that with a Stalker or a Zealot. Sentries often popped out first with a build like this so that they can just force field that area. But Protoss has options, obviously, where they can just keep a hold position unit in there. This probe is still sniffing around in enemy territory. He's not going to see anything out of the ordinary, though, especially with this Queen standing there. And the Zerglings should actually be able to finish this probe off. But just look at the production tab right now. 2 gases did just finish for Brave. He's going to put up the Cybernetics Core now as he gets the minerals to do so. Actually, slightly late on the Cybernetics Core.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not sure even how that happened, but
he also got 2 gas before Cyber Core, which usually you only get 1 gas before Cyber Core. He does see the third though, and I'm imagining because he went 2 gas before Cyber Core, that really is only 2 things, either Void Ray or Dark Templar. You usually only get 1 before Cyber Core, and then a few supply after your Cybernetics Core, you get your 2nd gas. But this is very, very tech-heavy build that Brave is going into, so we'll see exactly what he's going to do. I imagine we'll see Stargate going down right now?
He's already
moving.
wow,
no, he goes +1 and Warp Gate, so that's interesting.
Yep, he's getting Warp Gate tech, hasn't planted any additional. Actually, interesting to note, no pylons inside of his main at all. So if Lings were to actually infiltrate, get past this Zealot here, that would be actually really difficult for Brave to actually be able to defend that, but we'll see obviously how passive d.JonnyREcco wants to play this, since he is getting a 3rd hatch up around the 6-minute mark. He's just been primarily droning so far, 28 to 28, only 8 Zerglings out on the field. They could get in there and do some poke damage, but as you can see, they are slow. He hasn't even researched Zergling speed or anything like that. His first 2 gas are still actually coming up 6 minutes in, so really just playing super passive, not wanting to invest too much into his Lings. Makes me think that he is going to be saving up for a big mid-game, but we'll see how many extractors he adds on to determine kind of what he's going to be doing after that. But probe gets around there from d.JonnyREcco back at Brave's base, adding on a robotics facility before any more gateways or a Stargate.
Yeah, so he has gotten a lot of gas. This is 3, and wow, he's actually going up to 4 really quickly. Can we see his probe count right now? Only 35. This is really
seems like a slow build,
yeah,
doesn't it?
This is really slow if he's going, but this is going to be, I'd imagine a Warp Prism will pop out of that Robo pretty soon, and then he's going to do some kind of a harass on 4 gates and 2 base. Usually this is going to be indicated, there's the Warp Prism, indicative of him trying to expand to a 3rd, because if this was some kind of an all-in, you'd see a few more gates being put down, but that's super gas heavy, so I imagine we'll see a lot of sentries with this Warp Prism and kind of trying to push into the 3rd while taking your own 3rd.
Very possible. If Brave does manage to sneak past this natural with the Warp Prism, he could actually do the sentry drop and force field the ramp, which is quite devastating to his Zerg opponent, who can't get all of their units from one area. Obviously, if he starts to build defensive units, they would have to come from 3 different hatches, and that can actually give him a lot of time to work down some sentries, or work down some workers, excuse me, with those sentries. Recco is actually going to send in 1 Ling at a time. I'm not sure why. Obviously, Cannon only takes 2 shots to kill a Ling, but the Warp Prism is in the air now with 4 gateway units, including 2 sentries. All he has to do is drop that payload, flip over really fast, and do another round of 4 warp-ins to do some pretty good damage. Instead,
this is very odd.
He's doing this on the low ground. I feel like doing it in the main might have been better, but we'll see.
I guess he's just trying to do some economic damage to the natural, just poke around, see what he can get. He's going to have to be very careful. Roach is popping out at the exact same time, and I don't think this push is going to do a whole lot. Good force field there to trap in the Queen. The Queen goes down. A bunch of Lings and Roaches are about to pop out. So, another Queen goes down. Pretty sloppy by JonnyREcco there. More Zealots coming in and more Roaches coming in at the same time. We'll see. I don't know if he has enough, but Warp Prism does pick up, though, and it looks like he's going to leave. Some pretty good damage there done by Brave, though.
That's right, and I don't think many drones were killed. Actually, no. Only 1 worker has been killed this whole game by JonnyREcco, but he did kill those Queens, which are very, very valuable. JonnyREcco, on the other hand, I mean, not losing any drones is actually huge for him because he is so far ahead already on just income in general that Brave probably should have tried to work on some drones a little bit better. I don't know. I feel like he could have done the sentry trick that we just mentioned and had a lot of success. He could have focused down Roach Warren or these drones, and it would have been really difficult for JonnyREcco to be able to respond to that. But the Warp Prism, he still has tabs on it. JonnyREcco running underneath with those Lings, so he's got vision of it at least. He is going to start switching into pretty heavy Roach production. You can see a lot of them still standing from when he did clean up at his own base, but of course Immortals are out now for Brave. He's got 3 of them patrolling around ready for those Roaches whenever they do arrive.
And he's also, JonnyREcco has an Infestation Pit. He's going to have Infestors out very, very soon, gearing up for a pretty big push. Brave added on 2 more gateways, so Brave is going for his own pretty big push in a moment, getting Twilight Council as well, and another Forge. He does not look like he's going for a 3rd base yet, but he might actually go that route rather than trying any kind of crazy all-in. With the amount of Immortals that are on the field, it's actually going to make this Roach army very, very fragile with the high sentry count that he also has.
All right, so the Warp Prism has floated behind this big force of JonnyREcco. Wow, the whole fighting force is on the ground, though, so JonnyREcco can't even really tease the front. Sometimes you'll see Roaches attack the Forge, for example, from the low ground, but with the entire standing army of Brave already there, there's no way JonnyREcco can harass at all with these Roaches. He's going to need way more numbers if he's going to try and do this head-on fight because of the power of the force fields and the Immortals. That force that we saw of JonnyREcco's is really not too formidable. It's he's sitting on 0-1 upgrades. The Protoss player Brave is sitting on 1-1 right now and moving up to 2-2. So Infestors might be what JonnyREcco needs to wait on. Pathogen Glands are coming now, so eventually, you know, those Infestors will start hitting the field. He's not using too much gas aside from those upgrades, so he can start to churn those out as soon as Pathogen Glands are near done. Yeah,
and something strange is happening. Brave is actually going air weapons right now without having a Stargate.
That's a mistake.
I think that's a mistake, but maybe not. It's very, very odd regardless. He has 2-2 coming, which is very, very good. His army's looking good, getting a 3rd. This is a basically even army right now because of the high sentry count, but once the Infestors pop out, it's really going to start to switch in JonnyREcco's favor, especially because even though he is up on a lot of supply, this Protoss army can stay alive for quite some time because of the sentries.
Interesting that JonnyREcco tried. Oh, he does actually get a couple of Lings in. Just one Ling really getting all the way into the main. A couple of other Lings getting killed off. The Roaches look like they want to try and do some damage. That was weird. How did that Zealot get so far in there? 1 Ling is going to be biting away at this Stalker Warping, of course, he's going to get taken out. But he did scout everything that he could possibly see of Brave's base. So 4 infestors are starting to come out now. We can see him changing gears a little bit, adding on another hatchery at the very top right corner of the map. Very interesting. That makes sense as a location. Not too terrible there. And he is going to actually have that silhouette for a 5th base as well.
He's also going up to Hive just now. So we're going to see, I'm not sure if it's going to be Broodlord's Ultras or if he's just going to stick with, you know, the Ling Roach Ling Roach Infestor composition. He's getting melee upgrades, so that Ling transition makes a lot of sense.
2-2 will be done very soon here. JonnyREcco is quite behind on upgrades. He's just getting +1 melee attacks now, so that's only going to benefit the Lings, not even going to benefit these tons of Roaches. Here come the first Fungals, and we do have our first engagement. Roaches do have a great concave there surrounding fully all of these Stalkers. Immortals have nowhere to run. Fungal did remove their Hardened Shield, so if these Roaches can survive long enough to get those Immortals down, I feel like he's going to have a good chance. So obviously the Warp Prism is here to reinforce, but they're actually on the creep, so these Infestors that keep coming out can actually get to the battle very, very quickly. He's going to pick up a couple of those units, but there's still more Roaches and Lings standing than these Stalkers can deal with. They do have Blink, but he's not using it. There he goes. Trying to keep some of those alive.
That was a really bad fight for Brave. He had his Stalkers way out of position in the front of his army, and he couldn't use his sentries because of how out of position his army was. Pretty big mistake, but you have JonnyREcco. Now he realizes how much of an advantage he has, and he's going to push and do some pretty big damage to this 3rd base.
Good micro from Brave, saving the Immortal. All the Lings running into the main is going to be huge, though, if he's unable to respond to that, trying to deal with all of these Roaches. We'll just glance into the main now. Yeah, all those probes having to be pulled, all the warp ends being used to try and protect those workers, but right now there's still more Roaches standing than Stalkers. Here's a fresh round of 4 warp ends, but you can see probes getting taken out in mass in the natural. Roaches still standing, and more Lings and Roaches reinforcing from JonnyREcco. It looks like he has Brave all wrapped up in units now.
Yeah, it's up 70 supply, and that's going to be climbing. JonnyREcco making a Spire at his base, but it's not going to matter. GG.
All right, so JonnyREcco takes the first game for Dignitas against a player that I don't really know too much about. Brave could be